Had a great meeting with the group today. Players, coaches involved, and again, just unbelievable to have this kind of opportunity right in front of us. And while there is disappointment, while we know there's more work out there for us, just collectively for the whole season, just to be able to play in this environment, Bank of America Stadium, the fan base, it was amazing. Just the whole time through, could feel it in pregame. As guys were coming out in pregame, it was loud. Like every time it was almost like an introduction, it felt like. And was amazing to be able to find some really good ball in the process, and just unbelievably disappointed we weren't able to get it done at the end. But the guys played incredibly hard, battled back, and made it a game. The lead changes. I mean, I've been involved in a lot of playoff games, and that was a special one for me, just in terms of the back and forth, and the plays being made on both sides, really. And again, just can't be more proud of the group and where we're at right now.
Dave, do you have an update on Ickey Ekwonu?
Ickey, yes. So Ickey has a ruptured patellar tendon and it's going to require surgery. Timeline-wise, all those times vary and all that, but it's significant. It's going to require surgery, and so prayers and thoughts for Ickey. Just battled for us and worked through some things along the season, and just a guy that I love, a guy that I really trust out there, and so we'll all be with them the whole way, and wish him a speedy recovery as he comes back. And Yash stepped in there and allowed us to play some good ball. So really proud again, just another moment where somebody had to come and step in, and we've counted on our guys to do that this year.
Was that related to his earlier knee issue?
It was not.
But do you know the timeline?
Yeah, I don't want to give any specific timelines. Yeah.
Dave, it's my understanding that EJ has time left on his contract. What's his outlook moving forward as you guys plot out the offseason?
I have complete trust in Ejiro. Love the way that he's brought this group to play quality football together. And, he's got my full support, and love our scheme, love what we do there. And, getting our guys to play together when we execute this scheme, it's really difficult, to play against. And the guys have found a way to play together, communicate together, and really, like you saw last night in glimpses, just like the style of play that we're looking for, the big hits, the tackling, the coverage on the back end and all that, and the rush at times, and the pressure packages, the different things that he was able to do to create rush, to create pressure for quarterbacks. I just love where we're headed that way. And as always, with all of our schemes, we'll look at it and we'll continue to evolve. We'll continue to push the envelope and move forward from there.
Just to clarify, the last public knowledge on his deal was that contract was expiring after this season. Is that not the case?
No, we had conversations beforehand about his contract and his future going forward there. So it just that'll come out whenever it does.
Did he get an extension when you were hired?
I can't remember the exact dates of it.
But since you've been hired, he has signed an extension. Is that fair?
Yes.
And to be clear, he'll be your defensive coordinator next season.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Playing for the offense, you've been the play caller the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Are you planning to maintain that role as well moving forward?
Yes, right now, and again, all of these questions and all the stuff that we're going to be talking about, as a staff coming up in the next couple of days, trying to get a chance to regroup on the whole season and how it came out. We're always going to look for ways to try to improve what we're doing.
How's Ickey's injury impact the draft and free agency, and just looking through this offseason and how you approach it?
It certainly is something that we have to consider, just depending on the duration of the injury, knowing that we're going to go through a full offseason, and what's the timeline wise, and how does that affect training camp and roster numbers and all that.
Your team seemed to gain a lot of respect sort of nationally with the performance, and how that changes things when you go to the offseason where you're maybe a team that teams are chasing as opposed to the underdog and that sort of mentality.
We've operated really well being the underdog. It's that mentality. And I had a friend tell me, he's like, we're just that team, you get it out the mud. And that the guys having that kind of chip on their shoulder to work for everything, everything's earned. I love that mentality, and how do we keep that intact? What are we pursuing? We're trying to find our best. We're trying to find the best football that we can play. And that was the 2025 Panthers. As we go forward in 2026, it'll be the same pursuit. I think that works. I think that's a timeless approach. Can we find our best? And that's what we'll be committed to.
Dave, I understand you want to say that.
Just thought, you know,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I know you want to talk timelines, but with Ickey, I mean, is there a chance that he could miss the start of next season or all of next season?
I don't know that. Yeah, I don't.
The team after the game, how much grit they played within the game, but all year, as you look to still ascend, add even more talent and going forward with this program, how can that be part of the foundation?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways that you can look at it because first and foremost, it's getting the guys that are here healthy. Getting guys like Pat Jones back out there. Obviously now Ickey, making sure that the guys that we're counting on, Rob Hunt missing most of the season. Getting all those guys healthy will certainly help. Developing the guys that we have here currently within our team, whether they came from somewhere else or they're new to us as rookies, just continue to pour into the development there. And then, of course, Dan's job, my job, our job is to challenge this roster every year. So it's a combination of all those things moving forward.
Understanding that every year is a different team, what did you learn about this team this year that maybe you didn't even know during the offseason that kind of shapes this next offseason?
Yeah, just the resilience of the group dealing with the adversity in game, but then also throughout the season with the ebbs and flows of an NFL season, to watch a group just come back to work and to be really curious and coachable. Curious about how we can improve things, and then being coachable on the principles and the fundamentals, the things that we should be reminding each other of. And I just watched the group just take the notes, take the coaching, ask questions, and just keep pressing in so that we could continue to grow in all of our phases.
We went out there last night with 5 receivers, all playing in the first playoff game, 2 of them being rookies. Just curious how you feel about that group moving forward, in particular with T-Mac, Jalen, and Xavier.
It was unbelievable to watch the guys just, really a culmination of the work that's been happening behind the scenes at practice, the conversations in the hallways, in meeting rooms, and, Bryce right at the center of all that, making sure that we're all on the same page with how we want to get things done. And to watch the group really have to find a way to improve that. When we were in modified mode for a couple of weeks with shorter weeks and different things like that, last week we had the opportunity to have full speed practice without pads on Thursday, and really felt the chemistry of the group come alive in that practice, which was cool just to see, like, man, how much we've needed that time on task for this group, and then to see it come alive in the game and be something that we could count on and depend on to play a really good Rams team here was fantastic. And to see their energy, to see them not shy away from the moment, but to attack it and find wins along the way.
Dave, understanding that there are a lot of free agents in that locker room, what does Rico Dowdle's future look like in Carolina, and just generally, how do you think his season would?
Yeah, these are all things that we're going to have to talk about over the next couple of days with Dan and Brant and myself, and the coaches included. We have to evaluate all the guys that our contracts are up and they're free agents, and see what our next best move is.
Part of that evaluation is also the coaching staff, right? How would you assess your performance as a play caller this year? And when you evaluate everything, how much do you have to consider the operation of the offense?
Yeah, got to take all those things in consideration. Look at the concepts that we're running first and foremost. Are these things that we want to continue with? Do we need to make some tweaks and evolve? I'll be really critical of myself. That's a part of my weekly process, with our staff, and just having those conversations about how we can put our guys in the best position. But, as we continue to grow together, this is a part of it, taking all those things into consideration and just trying to find a way to win and trying to find a way to put our best football out there, and, whatever that may look like.
You took over a 2-win team when you came here. I would imagine scenes like last night were sort of what you envisioned. Were you able to take just a moment to soak that in at all? Enjoy it? How did that work?
It was really the whole week. It was such a blessing to be in this position to play a wild card game at home, which comes from winning the division, which is the language that we use around here. You got to win the first championship first. And we were able to win the division to get that home game, to give us the advantage of being in Bank of America Stadium. It was a dream come true. It just gives me a lot of gratitude for Mr. and Mrs. Tepper for giving me the support and the opportunity to do this. And to work with a bunch of staff, a bunch of players, to get on the same page with the same mindset, to find our best and to pursue every day like it's 4th and 1 and to go for it. And just what does a win look like today? We've been asking ourselves that question for for 2 years now. What does a win look like today in these meetings, whatever it is, so that we could just continue to advance what we're doing here.
Rico said that he wanted to go somewhere where he could get the bulk of the carries, here or elsewhere. Said he wasn't sure why his carries decreased late in the season. Were those discussions that you had with both backs, and what does that look like going forward?
Those are conversations that we had as a staff, and just trying to put our best foot forward. When you have two backs that you trust, you want to make sure that they both touch the ball, and that was the approach we took.
When you look at this rookie class, have they kind of set the bar for what rookie classes in the future will kind of look like and what you want from them? Because you leaned on a lot of young guys this year, and they performed in a lot of big spots for you.
They were very impressive by how they worked, and again, I get to talk about Dan and the amazing job that he's done evaluating the football character with the personal character, the talent as well. And all those things have to align, and in different ways. And the guys I don't get to talk about enough, Ryan Fitzgerald, the job that he's done this year in critical situations, giving us an edge on kickoff and in different ways. And, and he's battled through some tough times too and some opportunities missed. But to come back, to keep battling, to work on his craft. Bam Martin Scott, a guy that doesn't get talked about a lot on special teams, the different roles that he's played for us, to be reliable as a rookie on special teams, it's pretty special, pun intended. And but he just flies around. He's got amazing athletic ability, length, his play style. He's got in at linebacker a couple of times, and he doesn't get all the reps in the week, but to get thrown in there and to just play fast, is all we ask those guys too when we're in the situation where you might be down a guy or two and he's got to help out. Corey Thornton, a guy who came along and, got an opportunity to start for us, for a while in the season, and to watch him progress, 3 undrafted guys that Dan and our scouts were able to identify to bring in here to help us and to make a team. That's hard to do, for undrafted rookies, but those guys worked their tails off to have opportunities, seize some opportunities, which gives me a lot of faith that they'll continue to progress, and that goes right in with the entire rookie class. And I don't get to mention Kevin Winston and Jaquan Jarrett, because those guys spend so much time with our rookie group from the time they get here, onboarding them, giving them access and resources to different things outside of the building. I don't get to talk about them enough. The support, especially the mental and emotional strain of a long NFL season. You'll see Kevin and JJ, like they'll have them in their office, talking to them, working through different things, encouraging them, and all that. So it's an all hands on deck approach. But I was really pleased with how the rookies were able to contribute this year.
Into year 3, where do you think you've made the most progress as a head coach who's in charge of the whole team?
I think just listening to my staff, listening to the coaches that have been around for a while, connecting with Dan, Brandt, Mr. Tepper, and making sure that we're on the same page with our processes and ways that we can affect our team. And I think just trying to be able, it's one thing to be able to listen and have those exchanges, but then to translate it into tangible progress. And that's a challenge. And that's something that, I'm blessed to have the coaching staff that I have, to have the resources around me, to have those checks and balances to make sure that we're not overlooking anything. But I feel like that's been a place of growth for me this year.
Is there an example of that you saw from year 1 to year 2 that played out this year?
Just utilizing Coach Caldwell for, just he sees things from that, 10,000 foot view a lot of times. And while, for me, because of my mixed roles with my involvement in the offense and different things like that, I can get, hyper-focused at times on helping the run game, helping the pass game, different ways, just trying to connect with the different phases, special teams and defense. And there's also there's a story being told and there's a messaging for the whole team. And, Coach Caldwell has been amazing for just some reminders or anecdotes from years past where he's been I've been in this situation before with this coach, and, this was something that we did that, helped us a little bit. That was a little bit of a shot in the arm. And so that was a real blessing for me.
How much were you a part of other meetings, like special teams, defensive meetings, than you were last year? How much of concerted effort did you make to do that?
Yeah, just being in there, being around the guys, my biggest goal there is to reinforce the messaging that's coming from the coordinators so that our players understand how important it is to me. As the head coach, as I try to, create this culture, I think it's important to have that presence. And, we modified our schedule a little bit this year with Josh Hinkst and Denny Kellington with just because of the size of our team. At times we'd split the offense and defense up for, when they do their body preparation and regen versus meeting times. That allowed me to be in those meetings so I didn't really have to miss anything. And Tracy has our special teams meeting before we start the team. So that's always an opportunity for me to be in there and be involved with that. I just want the guys to know how important all of this is to me. I'm not just the offensive play caller as the head coach, but this is our team. This is what the play style should look like, and so I wanted to make sure I supported that.
Do you feel like you found your starting wide receiver tandem with two very young guys? I mean, and how reassuring is that? Do you feel like those are the two, and how going forward?
Yeah, Jalen and T-Mac, they produce for us in an incredible way, and the chemistry with Bryce has certainly grown, and they're going to have the first opportunity to be out there to start. You want those guys on the field. You want them out there because of the impact that they've made for us offensively.
What does Xavier need to do moving forward to kind of get back in that mix? Because that's where it seemed like he was to start off the year, and things kind of have shifted, obviously.
Yeah, just keep grinding, keep working, connecting with Bryce, making sure that they're on the same page, making the plays when they come to them. It's that simple. When you get opportunities in this league, this game, all the margins are so fine. It's just critical that when you're called upon, when your number's called, you make the play, and that's how you build trust, and that's how you get things back on track. But the thing I respect about Xavier is through this process, all he's done is work. All he's done is just continue to try to find ways. How can I help? And he continued to block, and he continued to be available. He was returning kicks yesterday, and just finding ways to do that. And he's made of the right stuff. I have full faith and confidence that Xavier will bounce back and have an excellent year next year.
Every athlete's recovery is different. When you were in Seattle, Jimmy Graham ruptured his patella, came back 9 months later. What do you remember about that process? And I know it's fresh, but I didn't know if you'd shared that with Ickey yet.
I have not shared that with Ickey. I'm sure we'll have chance to kind of talk about that. Right now, it's so fresh. What I remember about Jimmy was just like it was an all hands on deck thing. Just everybody just making sure that he was ready to go. That we were pushing him at the right pace. And going through all the steps that are necessary. And then once he got to the season, it was just a maintenance thing. To make sure that he was ready for the game and making sure that we're smart about how we practice and do all those things. And so that'll all come with that territory.
Dave, over the next 2 years, you guys are projected to have the highest paid trench group of O-line and D-line together, or at least in the top three over the next few years. You haven't drafted an offensive lineman yet. I know you've developed some young guys. You've drafted Cam, but you also spent a lot of money there. As a developmental coaching staff, how do you look at the trench group? As Cade's a free agent, Brady and Austin, all those guys. How do you look at those groups?
Yeah, it's very important, and we look around the league. Watching the Bears game last night, and the money they spent on that offensive line is paying off for them because it all starts right there. You can run the ball, you can throw the ball when you do that, and so that's something that we definitely have to make sure is a consistent thing for us, that we get guys in there that can help us on both sides, because it does start with the run game and the line of scrimmage. And I look at this group and a bunch of guys that I trust. A lot of conversations between Dan and I and Brant, going forward in the next couple of days to make sure that we get this thing right, so that we can continue to build from the inside out.
You said last week that every mistake a rookie makes is an investment in the future. Last night you see Trevor have that costly fumble on the punt. He's back out there for the next punt. How important are those decisions in instilling the confidence and letting these rookies know that you still believe in them even if they make those rookie mistakes?
Yeah, it was the exception, not the rule. He's done a fabulous job of continuing to improve catching punts and kicks, the kickoffs. He's worked tirelessly at it. He dropped the ball, and it was an unfortunate play, but I wanted him to know, we got your back. Let's go. we all make mistakes, and that should be the feeling. Is we want to make sure that we create an environment that's accountable for all of us, and we share those things from myself to the coordinators and all the coaches and players alike. You know, our Tell the Truth Monday is what it is because none of us are exempt from that, and I want the guys to feel that they're getting a fair shot to be able to redeem themselves and just get right back to work.
I know it's way too early to ask this question. Mike Jack will be a free agent after next season. Can you just, I know you can't share too much. I know you guys have to have some conversations, but is possibly extending him a priority this offseason given the season that he's had?
I won't talk about that part, but I will talk about Mike. And I just the unbelievable way that he just shows up on a daily basis with focus. He's an amazing competitor. He's really brilliant. You know, he's a heck of a chess player, and it's our team meals night before the game, and people walk up to the table. Mike's sitting there, and he just has that gamesmanship about him. He approaches the game that way. Studies film. He's sick about his craft, his technique, his footwork. He's thinking about things, thinking about how they may try to attack him in this formation or that, and this D&D. He's just aware of it all. The story will be told if you ever saw him in a walkthrough. And if you look at his face in a walkthrough, it might as well be the game. His eyes are in the right spot. His knees are bent. He's evaluating the things, and he takes it very seriously, and that affects the whole group and how we should approach anytime we're on the grass, anytime we're in a meeting. He loves it. And ever since I've known him back in Seattle, you know, I remember just like running across the field, chasing runs down on the backside. I'm talking about in practice, in camp, you know, and I went and told him, I went up to him one day in camp and I was like, Mike, you got to be the fittest guy on this team. And I just respected so much his work ethic and what he did to pair it all with his experience and just the way that he's played this year, knocking balls down, coming up with a big interception for us, an unbelievable year. And I'm just really proud to have been a part of the early story and to watch it progress. And I'm so blessed and so fortunate we were able to bring him here last year.
Who do you think has made the biggest progression from the beginning of the season to now, or from the beginning of your time here to now?
Belief, I would say that. I would say it's an expectation to win. Proving to our players, as a staff, we have to prove to our players that when we do things right, we can play with anybody. We can beat anybody. And that has been true for us at times, where we've played really good teams and come out with the win because we did right. A little bit longer than the other team. And that opportunity is always out there. That's why they say any given Sunday. Well, it's true because of the fundamentals of the game. And I believe that our players truly believe that. I know that our staff believes that. And that's what we try to push and remind the whole group. And that there's something that's grounding about that. And we talk about you can't improve anything that you can't measure. And the things that you can measure are the most fundamental technical breakdowns, the most fundamental things that need to improve, the things that are working for us. And if we can point to those things, the guys always feel like we have something to work on. It doesn't feel nebulous. It doesn't feel like it's just gray out there, but there are specific things that we can get better at that will help us this week.
I know last year the defense finished in last in a lot of categories, but they've improved across the board. What is the level of encouragement heading into this offseason with the way Evero's unit has performed?
Yeah, the system is in place, and when we execute the system, it works. And I coached against it for years and watched it continue to grow right in front of our eyes. And where it becomes special is our coaches' abilities to help the guys connect with each other. Then they got to take it. And we've done a great job of that, of creating this platform for the guys to own it. But guys like Nick Scott, quarterbacking the back end, you know, getting guys lined up and talking and making sure they're lined up. Christian Roseboom, you know, just settling things down in there, running sideline to sideline to make plays. And, of course, Derek Brown up front, the hustle that he plays with, an unbelievable jet sweep that he chased down and stopped for about a 3-yard gain by Puka Nacua in the game is just a classic example of these guys owning this defense with our play style, with our schemes. And I saw a group playing really good ball down the stretch. All right. Thank you.